Hey, Chiropassion champions. We had a little technical difficulty. We'll try it again. I was reflecting today after some coaching calls with clients. Boy, if you knew back then what you know now, right? If you could have all that information you possess now and wisdom and know those mistakes that you made and mistakes sometimes things you didn't do. It's not even that you did something wrong in the moment, but it's the inaction was the mistake, right? And man, you could have applied that years ago, how much further along you'd be. I think often as I've gotten older over the years, I remember when I was a young kid and I was down, I was down in my dad's restaurant. So my grandparents came from Italy and they opened this restaurant, Borio's restaurant. And I was working down there with my dad and my brother Tony. There's a shock, Joe and Tony, right? And my brother Tony is about 5 years older than I am. We were in there in the kitchen, and man, it was hot. It was in the summer, and oh my gosh, I don't know what it was, 150 degrees probably in the kitchen back in those days before they had circulation in the kitchen, and we were cutting up chickens. So my brother's probably 14, I'm 9 or something like that, and we were cutting chickens because my dad and my grandparents, they used to have these big clam bakes. So they used to have raw clams and fried chicken. It was great, so I started off learning the value of hard work right at that age. My dad had built these soda boxes. So he had these soda boxes that my brother, well, back then I would stand on. He was older than I was. And that way I could reach the counter in the kitchen in an effort to reach the dredging station. So I used to dredge and flour haddock, and I used to do breading on all the chicken, and so I'd work in the kitchen, and you'd work hard, and my dad was in there yelling at us, and my grandmother, no, she was in there screaming at us, and everyone's yelling at us in Italian. and my brother and I would look at each other like, holy crap, like we are in hell. I remember distinctly that day, he and I looking at each other. I was standing taller than him because I was on the old wooden soda boxes, and I was like, man, this is hell right now. I am not having a good time in this kitchen. And as the years went on and you worked down there, you realized that there was so much you didn't know. You walk into the office in your practice, or back then I'm walking in as a little boy in my dad's kitchen, and there was so much I didn't know, just better ways to dredge. I know it sounds simple and crazy, but simple and easier ways to dredge haddock, how you could get more done in less time, right? And how you could work in an office with other people that you don't know and create a team and leadership. And that's what we did at the restaurant. My dad ran the kitchen, and he would run a team. And man, they went from just a couple of people in the kitchen to being one of the largest restaurants in New York. And you would look at that like, there's a lot of organization that needed to be done, and managerial skills and food prep, and as things advanced, you'd have to learn those things. And I realized when I watched all that my dad had a real clear sense of what his role was in the restaurant business. And the restaurant business was, hey, I got to put out a great food, a great product, if you will, at a really good price, but a really high quality. The quality had to exceed, if you will, the quality of the service, the quality of the food had to exceed the service fee for the food. And that made a huge difference. That was my dad's secret to success at Borio's. And my mom, not to negate my mom ran the dining room, and learning how to have people come in and have a great experience in the restaurant, and know them by name and meet them and greet them and walk them to the table and make sure they had great service. All of those things were so important. So when I step back and I think about me in practice as a doctor and as a chiropractor in practice day to day, and now I look at myself as a coach, mentoring and teaching and sharing that wisdom and the good and the bad with our clients so that they can grow and learn from that. I take those lessons from my dad in the kitchen that, our job as a chiropractor, the only way you help people is by adjusting. And the only thing you really get paid for in the restaurant, you get paid for the food, right? In your practice, the only thing you really get paid for is the adjustment. Like the only thing that generates an income into the practice is the service that you're getting paid for to adjust people. So the only way you help people is by adjusting them, and the only thing that you get paid for is adjusting people. And I think taking that lesson from my dad, if you're really clear on that, you start to realize that everything else is noise, or everything else that needs to be done is interference. Everything else that needs to be done needs to be delegated, because if it interferes or dilutes what it is you're doing in the room, then you're going to do less of it. You're not going to help as many people, and it's certainly going to affect greatly your level of income. So if you realize in your practice that, hey, listen, my job is to adjust people. Why? Because that's how I help people, and that's what I get paid for. If you can simplify it down to Papa Borio's mindset there, then what you realize is that if you delegate more and more out to other people in your office, in your staff, in your team, like my dad would do, and he would delegate all those other things to other people and realize that, hey, listen, as simple as that fried fish might be on a Friday night, breading that fish and getting that fish on a plate and making sure whether you got French fries or coleslaw or whatever you had on there, and to make sure you had that little piece of parsley and that little wedge of lemon, and that the plate looked perfect. I remember my dad, he would wipe down every plate. He would wipe every plate, no fingerprints on a plate, and he would slide it across the heat lamp, and he'd ring the bell, and the waitress would come in, and he'd make sure that every plate was just the way it needed to be, as good as he could put that product out there to exceed what their expectations were. He understood that, and I think if we understand that better, and that would be I think what I want to share with you today, if I knew that 30 years ago, that realization that I had a number of years ago, boy, how much better my practice would have been, how many more people I would have helped, how much more service we would have provided, how much better of income that I would have provided for my family, how much more income I would have to give back in the chiropractic and promote the profession. It's that realization of, wow, I got to lean this out. My job when I go into that office, even though I may be the quarterback, if you will, with my team, my job is to adjust people, because that's how I help people and that's what I get paid for. Everything else that I end up having to do is a distraction and a dilution in my ability to help people, to provide better service, to provide great quality, and to make a living. And, one of the things we always teach in Chiropassion, and I teach as your coach and mentor, along with a lot of other, obviously, business ideas and personal development and protocols and all those other things, which are so important. I don't mean to minimize them. But one of the things that's really important and I think instrumental in your practice is to look at your day and say, what am I doing outside of adjusting people? And what am I doing outside of providing a great service at the table? I think anything else other than that, as much as it needs to be done, we need to learn to delegate that, so that when I go into that office and that bell goes off and 10 minutes to 8 hits and I go to that table, when I'm there, I'm present with you. When I'm there, I'm thinking about the adjustment. When I'm there, I'm thinking about your family. When I'm there, I'm thinking about getting everyone adjusted and providing the greatest service and the best adjustment that I can provide to everybody that I see that day, and making sure that everyone else in their responsibility is delegated appropriately, so that everything can work as a perfect team, so that the person that comes in, that practice member, that lifetime member that you're trying to lead them to the understanding that they need chiropractic care for the rest of their life, that person who walks in gets provided the best service they possibly can, and that you earn, and I would say you earn the right to be their chiropractor each and every time, so that each time they come in, you earn the right to have another opportunity to provide them with another awesome adjustment. I think if I knew that and owned it in the way that I own it now, 30 years ago, every aspect of my life would be different. And most important and more important, the lives that I had the opportunity to touch or the missed opportunities that I had, and there were many of them, wouldn't have been missed opportunities. And their lives would have been touched with chiropractic care and still been served with chiropractic care. So I'm certainly glad I know that now. And that's one of the things that I share with you as a coach, as a mentor, as part of Chiropassion Consulting. So we've got a great event coming up in Chicago, February 7th and 8th. We still got a couple of seats available. We had over 100 people there last year. We're looking to have more than that this year. And I would love for you to be part of that group and have a life-changing experience in Chicago. It's the cheapest, least expensive city to fly into. The hotels are relatively inexpensive. And our event, first-time attendees, $199 per doc and $45 for each guest. And that involves on Friday from 4 to 11 o'clock. We have an after-hours party that includes your invitation to the party, reserves you a seat in the event hall. Plus, we go all day Saturday. We've got 3 phenomenal speakers. Dr. Gigi Hurst, who's going to teach us better forms and means of communication, which is great. We got Dr. Raina Robinson, who's going to be sharing her story and journey of chiropractic. We got none other than the Dr. Mike Hudak of The Truth, which I'm honored to be speaking at this year in March. So we've got a great lineup of speakers, and I'll tell you, no one loves chiropractic more. No one loves chiropractic coaching more. No one loves sharing not only the little important parts of operating a business and a practice, but that art of communication and influence and leading people to lifetime care. Nobody loves it more than I do, and I love to share that wisdom with you so that you're not going to go 30 years into practice and go, boy, I wish I knew that 30 years ago. You guys can come to Chicago and learn it from me on February 7th and 8th. And I'm honored to share that, and certainly honored to be part of your chiropractic journey. Hey, listen, if you're interested in joining our coaching program, or maybe you just want to talk a little bit more, maybe you don't know much about it, maybe you've never coached with anyone before, in this description here, we've got a free coaching call. So just click the link. It'll hit you to Acuity. You can dial in for a free coach call. Love to hear your story, learn more about who you are, why you became a chiropractor, what's good happening in your practice, maybe what's not so great happening in your practice, and certainly what value we might be able to provide to you. Also, we've got a couple of programs. Maybe you've listened to me over the years. I just had somebody join our program yesterday, and they said, listen, I've listened to everything. I love what you have to offer. I've talked to a lot of docs that have been part of the program, and they love it. You can join the program. We've got 3 levels of membership. Mastery Gold is a great program. It's $349 a month. You can join immediately, and it gives you full access to all our program and 100 plus stocks we've got in the program. Or you can do the Elite. Maybe you want more connection with Dr. Joe. You get a weekly call with me in the Elite program. We do weekly webinars. We have a CA training program, which is phenomenal. We have over 500 videos on. Content is not our challenge. We have over 500 training videos and webinars on our main page. So you get full access 24/7 to all that. So however we can provide service to you, I'd love to be part of that journey for you. I'd love for you to be the best version of your former self each and every year, serve more people, help more people, promote chiropractic as a profession, and certainly live an abundant life with less stress and low overhead, so that you can reflect back and say, wow, I've done the best job I could have with this beautiful gift of chiropractic that we've all been bestowed. Hey guys, love and appreciate you. Check us out on the website, register for Chicago, and I look forward to talking to you guys next week.